I'm Tim and this is Paws on Point. Enjoy the episode and don't forget to like, subscribe, share and leave a comment after.
Hi. You okay?
Every service dog handler I know has a story about an unexpected vet bill that stopped them in their tracks. Today's guest turned that moment into something that helps every pet owner in Canada. This is a story of one pharmacist who took on the drug companies alone and changed the system. I got to sit down and have a chat with her. Here's Wendy Chui.
And I think when you have that moment, your whole world changes. And I think from that point on, you never go back to how you were, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And I'm a big believer that we are the students, the dogs are the teachers.
Exactly.
I think they
I
have the
totally
keys to the kingdom. And if you can truly listen, then I think you'll be better as an individual. And I think you will learn a lot about yourself. And that involves having a lot of hard swallows of humble. But if you're willing to be open to it, then I think they can show you a whole new world. And yeah,
there are dog lovers and there are non-dog lovers in this world, and you can tell, yeah, which camp you belong, and you kind of know who dog lovers are. Basically, there's integrity, there's compassion, there's empathy, there's everything in there.
I
So
think there's
you're
a
right.
language as well that we speak, that dog lovers speak, that non-dog lovers don't quite understand.
Exactly. Until they truly get attached and take care of a dog that is so loyal to you, that type of unconditional love, they cannot understand.
I think dogs, I don't think I know. Dogs take everything to a whole new level. They take it emotionally, spiritually, physically, they take you to a whole new level, a whole different realm. And I think once you're in that realm, it's infectious. You cannot get out of it.
That's right.
Once you're
And
drawn into it, you're there. You're locked in for good.
Before we go any further, if you're enjoying this conversation, do me a favour and hit follow. Wherever you're listening right now, hit that follow button. It takes 2 seconds. Means you're never going to miss an episode. And it genuinely helps us grow. Right, back to it.
and so when I first got my dog and they got sick, and I was trained as a pharmacist in the
Yeah.
US. And then the first time my dog got sick, I think he got an eye infection and he need to be hospitalized. And then at that time, I was still working in the hospital. I have no clue, and took him to one vet. Then I had to take him to the specialist and hospitalization. This is 20 years ago, at least. And they said, "Oh, I'll give you a colleague discount $3,000 later with hospitalization and then a few eye drops." And he was so good. And I was just giving him eye drops 2 weeks later. Then I realized they were human drugs. And I go, what?
Wow.
Why was it so expensive? So one thing led to another. I always investigated to get into that business, and I couldn't because the pharmaceutical company only sells to vet clinics. And then, but I kept kind of exploring that area, and I kept talking to dog owners that were in my pharmacy field, and one thing led to another. And I think the universe actually was helping me. Within a few days, everything aligned, that I've hired somebody who know dog medication or pet medication, and I got access. At that time, pet vets were allowed to sell to pharmacy, and so I just started one prescription at a time in a brick and mortar pharmacy in a medical building. And because we were doing compounding work, individualized compounding prescription for human, but then a lot of pet medication are compounded because the dog size, they have special needs or they don't like certain flavors. Cats needs to have ointments to be placed with medication in their ears so that they can't lick it out of. So there
Yeah.
are a lot of needs of pets that needs compounding. So my compounding pharmacy got a lot of the pet owners to come and they got exposed to it and they say, do you also dispense pet medication? And throughout that time, concurrently, I just walk into that area and then I think it was the end of 2010 or 2009, things just fall into place and I started dispensing and ordering it from this vet. And then I started hearing first customers said, you guys are so much cheaper than the vet. If this is a chronic medication, lifelong medication, like insulin for diabetes,
Sure.
first of all, insulin was, and I think still is, an over-the-counter drugs. They didn't know that. They think they have to go to a vet, get prescribed, buy it from them, and it's so expensive. And then because we're pharmacists, we know what is over the counter, which doesn't require a prescription and what does. And for insulin at that time was over the counter, so we can sell it to these pet owners. We were selling at that time $36, something like that. And people were quoting over $100 per vial.
Wow.
So there were a lot of savings because when I got into the business, I just assumed this is like human drugs and I mark up the same way. This is the dispensing fee. And so between the pricing in the pharmacy and the vet clinic, there was a big difference. So within 2, 3 years, I've got people driving from far away to come to this medical building. It really has no retail and they have to come. And then so I said, oh, let me put it online. So that's how Pets Drug Mart started online. So through that, and so small again, and one prescription at a time, then we now service every single province and territories in Canada because it's
Amazing.
as pharmacy, we can accept prescription across the country so that the patient has the portability to go anywhere. So
Sure.
that's how we operated just like a human pharmacy. You can actually travel, and if you got in trouble and you have a prescription and a refill in Ontario, technically you can walk into a pharmacy in BC, have them call us and transfer it over, and you can access the same drug. That's portability. So accessibility and portability, this is how Canada works. So for that reason, and because pharmacists are the discipline that is allowed by the Health Canada Health Act, that we are the only discipline that can dispense for everybody, just based on the whole industry, how it's set up.
Wow.
And then when I started, they didn't feel threatened. That's the whole premise of it.
But I guess you were the only person that was, in a way, challenging the system, but not challenging it. Do you see what I mean? Because you were like, okay, well, you've got this, so I'm going to do this with it because you're doing it anyway. I'm just doing it on a bigger scale.
And when the pharmaceutical company refused, I actually called them. I said, hey, let's get into the pet business. Can you call these manufacturers and see if they would sell it? And the standard answer is we do not sell to pharmacies. We only sell to vet clinics. And so I gave it up. But then by the time I got an opportunity to talk to a vet, and we both sat down in office and said, let's call the college, the vet college in Ontario, and see if I can buy from you. At that time, their answer was yes. And that's how I started. So I started one prescription at a time. By the time I get to 2007, I was getting the squeeze from the pharmaceutical company. They started telling me to not sell it. take it off. It's actually fleas and ticks medication was the basics for that challenge because you cannot start selling these things without prescription because it's over the counter. And then also, if you cannot just because it's such a big industry for fleas and ticks. And so I got my first challenge from the pharmaceutical company. They went to my college and complained. So I had to pay money for a lawyer to help me write my defense. And it took a long time because that's like a very different type of complaint. Every single professional college has a complaint process to protect the public. So if the public has something to say about your service or whatever, they have a place to go. This one of the pharmaceutical company, the medical director decided to go use that route to complain about me buying medication from the vet. And eventually their findings and their wording was this has nothing to do with patient care, has nothing to do with public safety. It's everything to do with business and accessibility. So I feel me and my manager got this complaint, and another pharmacy and owner and manager got the same complaint. Then by November, the one or two vets that were supplying medication to us got basically a warning from their college and say, if you don't stop, it will affect your license. So they have to stop. So at that time, I really felt that my whole business, people that I hired to create this business, and just the pet, because my human fine is fine, but the pet side were totally threatened. And plus on top, all this time, the vet college in Ontario anyway has always told their member if your client wants a prescription, you're obligated to write a prescription so that they can have the prescription and take it elsewhere to be dispensed because that's their prerogative. But they can charge money. So eventually, I think it's stabilized now at about $20 per prescription. So people paid money to get prescription with repeats that is in my system because I've been in business for a long time.
Sure.
So at that point, I felt, oh my God, my customers who had paid money to get prescription has refill here and I'm having problem getting supply. So my first thought was to go to Ontario College of Vets. And I said, oh, at that same time, Ontario government decided to review and modernize their Vet Act. It's been 30 years they haven't touched it. So they would just announce public consultation and all that stuff. So I said to them, your customers, mutual customers, and my customers are the same. They have spent money and paid your members to put in refills in my system. Since Ontario government is going to look at the Vet Act, they must be looking at the medication and prescription side. Can you help me get temporary supply until we get that ruling? And then I'm sure the industry will sort itself out. It went to deaf ears. So I had no choice but to actually went to the media. And so Globe and Mail, one of the healthcare reporter, decided to talk to me, and he need to review all of my documents about the complaint years ago, what happened, what my college said. And he did his investigation and he wrote an article January 27th, 2022. That's when the whole thing started because I said, I have no choice. But as a single person, my other colleagues decided they cannot risk money. You're fighting a big industry. So I went alone as the lone person and went to the federal government competition bureau and said, I think there's an issue here. And so I met with them, the legal side, and the legal side said, do not hold your breath. The law of the land is so high in terms of bar to prove.
Yeah.
You can't win. It's 16 pharmaceutical company, right? That's what I
Wow,
was.
that's some serious heavyweights you went up against.
I have no choice because I eventually will have to fire everybody and also go to every single customer and saying, I'm sorry I took your refill. At that time, I was okay to get supply, but my supply has been choked off by your vets. And so I have to go, who are the villains here? So I decided it's the big guys and the two distributors that said they cannot sell to me. And the distributor, one distributor, the only distributor in Ontario is actually owned by the vets anyway, is a co-op owned by vet. So I know that they will not sell it to me. I'm not a member. They won't sell it to me. But then there's another one that's based in Quebec. And their answer is, we are not allowed to sell to you. But in Quebec Pharmacy Act actually stipulate us to sell to Quebec pharmacies. So if Quebec pharmacist has a patient walking in with a vet prescription, they can order from this supplier and dispense it. So that's protected. I said, if that happens in Quebec, why is it different for the rest of English speaking Canada? And that's
Right.
basically, there were two things that were wrong with that picture.
Hmm.
And so it's not because we don't know how to dispense, pharmacists dispense in Quebec. It's the pharmaceutical company has this business arrangement that protect the single source kind of vet medicine. So I went ahead. They said, legally, you have no chance, but we have a branch called advocacy side. So the advocacy side talked to me and they did their own investigation and that they did a position paper to coincide with the Ontario government Vet Act public consultation. So they submit, the federal government submit to Ontario government saying that we think pharmacy should be able to dispense and they should be able to get supply. So that's a position, but Ontario government still has to go through the Vet Act, but they cannot stipulate what these companies do. And so they have new regulations. The Vet Act actually has a lot of changes. Vet technicians got a lot of recognition. And then that the pharmacy side is there, but I still don't have supply. Then the Globe and Mail articles keep coming out. And then I was getting desperate by October that year. I know my very last supply will dry up because one of my vets were having a lawsuit going in Ontario Supreme Court, and the college will win. I know that it was an appeal. And I go, oh, what am I going to do? So I started writing letters, individual letters to these 16 companies. Everybody gave me different reasons. And I wrote, of course, with lawyers' help. At the same time, CBC was doing investigative work. So one of the big company said they knew the loophole is Montreal. So they decided to stop providing it to pharmacy in Quebec. And the customers were driving it and calling CBC, the French version. And then the CBC English version in Ontario was talking to me at the same time. So they decided to collaborate and created Fifth Estate, Market Space, and the same thing, the French version. And they aired it, I think, January 2023. And so by that time, I think the tide has turned because there are customers, there's federal government, all of that. So I got access to each individual company one at a time. And that's the story.
I think it's amazing. I think when I'm thinking about your story and just thinking when you're setting up a business, and especially if you're a trailblazer, especially if you're doing something new, you come up against hurdles, you expect that. But your opponents in that situation were huge. These are big players, and
And
that's
when
that.
I was
There must
doing
have
it,
been a point where you were, do I keep pursuing this or do I draw back from this?
oh, that was the Christmas of 2022. I have always been a kind of put my head down, stealthily operate and do a good job. So when I was building one prescription at a time at the beginning, vets were challenging me. Where are you buying your drugs? I said, same place as you. You have to tell me. I said, I can't tell you. But then they're saying that, oh, you are importing from India or China. I said, no, it's the same supplier. And so my cost is actually higher than them because I have to pay a vet to buy it,
Sure.
right? And one of the argument I did say to the pharmaceutical company, I said, work with your colleagues. If the pricing is not that big of a gap, I really don't have a business case. But I have a business case right here because people get savings. And so I am fulfilling a need in for the public. And so there are vet clinics that's close by and they got to know, understand us. And so we did start working with vets. Not, they of course do not want us to exist, but they understand why we are there as well. So I always say to pet owners, if your pet is sick and you're at the vet clinic and you want to get the drug right away.
This episode is supported by Trupanion, pet health insurance that's been protecting cats and dogs for over 25 years. Unlike many insurers, Trupanion offers unlimited coverage with no annual caps and direct payment to your vet, so you never have to find thousands of dollars in an emergency. They even offer a discount specifically for service dog handlers. If your dog's health matters, and I know it does, head to trupanion.com to find out more.
I say get it there if you can afford it. That's convenience, and you are actually paying for the service right there and then. And plus, on top, if you have a new diagnosis, you probably have to be titrated with the right drug or right dose. So you've got to coordinate all that, and you have to go to the clinic during their office hours. Get it through a pharmacy. Find the best place who has the best price. If you don't want to even going to somewhere, you go to something like Pets Drug Mart and we ship it directly to your door. So all of that, I think we all meet someone's need at different times. And so I thought we should all be in business, coexisting, helping customers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love that you found the niche for Pets Drug Mart, not by combating and taking over completely. In that sense, you've identified that chain. Like you said, if you go to the vets and they say, look, we think your dog would be better on this, or your pet's better on this particular drug, there and then, naturally, you're going to be like, yep. But then when you go back for your next appointment and they're like, yeah, I think we're going to need to keep the dog or the cat on this, that then to me makes sense to then go to someone like go to Pets Drug Mart and go, okay, so I've got this, it is going to be lifelong. Can you prescribe it? Can you do this? And going along those lines, and it's shipped to your door. So, like you said, you don't have to worry about going to the clinic during clinic hours. You don't have to worry about that. And I think that's really important. And I definitely know that's going to help a lot of our clients and a lot of our listeners. Knowing that that exists, I think is going to be a game changer. Yeah.
If I have older dog,
Mhm.
service dog is the same thing as pets.
Yeah,
And a lot of them are bigger dogs and they have joint issues. And so for me, I've been staying within my pharmacy lane.
sure.
I offer over the counter medications. I offer therapeutic treats when it's like vitamins and supplements and
Mhm.
glucosamine. It's for gum disease, for eardrops. That's people that dogs sometimes gets these chronic things, but then we do all the prescription. And a lot of our clients says, why don't you get into prescription food? I said, that's not my lane. I only do drugs. You should talk to either your vet. Sometimes vet prescription food is really warranted. Sometimes it
Mhm.
may not be warranted.
Sure.
And I think there are specialists out there that specialize in food, raw food, all kinds of food that would be catering to your dog's needs. But not a pharmacy. I don't know about food. So I stay in just therapeutic things. So therapeutic treats, over the counter medications, homeopathic stuff. A lot of pet owners and even rescue uses homeopathic and natural stuff
Definitely.
for calming the animals and things like that. So this is what we do.
This episode is supported by Trupanion, pet health insurance that's been protecting cats and dogs for over 25 years. Unlike many insurers, Trupanion offers unlimited coverage with no annual caps and direct payment to your vet, so you never have to find thousands of dollars in an emergency. They even offer a discount specifically for service dog handlers. If your dog's health matters, and I know it does, head to trupanion.com to find out more.
So if
It's
someone
like my
has a
human pharmacy. Yeah.
so if someone has a prescription, say for their pet, say for their dog, and they've done that process where it is going to become a lifelong medication, and then so they've been purchasing it from the vet, and then they go to Pets Drug Mart and they submit that prescription. Do you then look at that prescription and go, you know what? Yes, there is that one, but there's also an alternative that's a little bit cheaper that would cost, or do you just go by the
Generic,
prescription?
generic, if it generic exists, we tell the customer there is such an option. Just like human clinics, we do connect with the vet clinics
Sure.
because some pets use painkillers and narcotics. So we do communicate with the vet clinic and
Sure.
say, hey, is this your prescription? We have found quite a few like
But
that.
then I guess that's serious. We laugh about it, but that's a serious safety measure because it is pharmaceutical. It is, and without that safety measure in place, then yes, it's open to abuse, and that's not good for
We
your business.
we really are pharmacists,
Yeah,
period. And
sure.
so we handle prescription, human and pet, the same way.
Yeah,
And I have this compounding pharmacies that is highly regulated, and we compound human and pets medication exactly the same way. So
yeah,
remember, I said I started handling prescription in a medical building. So that
sure,
was a human pharmacy called Canada Chemist. All online drugstores needs to be attached to a brick and mortar store.
sure.
And the reason why I put pet online at that time, 2013, there is no shortage of pharmacy or even compounding pharmacy, but there is a shortage of pets. So that's why
Sure.
I decided to put Pet Drug
Yeah,
Mart online. And so basically, we handle the same thing. So my brick and mortar pharmacy and the pet is it coexists in different area, but
yeah,
it's the same place, it's the same building. And with going back to, let's say, a pet that was after the acute situation, the diagnosis is done, the vet and the owner decided this is a long-term therapy, lifelong, maybe
yep,
this is a stable dose, then we recommend pet owners when they go for the next visit, usually they're being monitored every 3 months, 6 months, or 12
sure.
months. When you go in, ask for a prescription. So legally, they have to give you one, but they can charge you money for it. So in order for you to be smart and economical, if they say your next appointment is 6 months, ask for enough repeats for 6 months. So then they got a prescription, and a lot of vet clinic now, they know Pets Drug Mart. So they email it directly to us. So we accept that as and then that would be the fastest and most secure way because we directly communicate with the clinic. So the doctor communicate with the pharmacy. And the moment we have it, we connect with the patient. Do you like to place this online? Either customer service go through it on the phone with them, or they can do it in their own leisure time 24/7 online and just pay for it. And it's just like a human patient, we do want a bit of history. So chronic medication really works out.
I like the setup. And the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. We have that for humans. Why not have that for our pets as well? Why not have that same functionality?
Technically, it would be great if all pharmacies do the same thing, but it's hard, right? Just like compounding, not every single pharmacy has the facilities. They're a very busy practice. They don't want to pick up another specialty because you have to learn the drug. And then plus, in order to be a really fully functional pharmacy for pets, even a clinic cannot stock everything. You don't know what
No.
kind of dog, what kind of disease is going to walk in. They have to know the common stuff. So that's why sometimes I was working one Friday before a long weekend. I got a suburban vet clinic calling me and saying, don't close yet. I'm sending someone over because they need it over this weekend. Because the vet clinic cannot possibly house all of the medication, but because we service so many vets at the same time, our inventory is probably the biggest in the country.
And I guess the clever thing for you is that because you serve because you've got yourself into a position where you serve all of Canada. I guess anyone else now who's, you know what, maybe we could do that. It's kind of, yeah, there's no point. Pets Drug Mart have got it. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Oh,
so
they can still do it slowly, but it's hard because you don't know what to order to put on the shelf
sure.
because you don't know what's the next prescription is going to be coming.
Yeah. And that's the
These things,
advantage you had starting the way you did. You did it per
one
prescription, one
one
at a
prescription
time.
at a time. I ordered one drug at a time and I build it up one at a time. And I think it's still possible. And I think it's a lot of corporation, especially US corporations, are looking. Somebody like Chewy wants to come in. But I don't know. It's US is different than Canada. And Canada, a lot of the big box store like Target or even department store like Nordstrom and Saks Fifth Avenue, they can't survive in Canada. It's just a different animal. We're so vast. We're a few cities and then everything is rural. And it's a very different thing. These things change all the time. I can only do my best. And now that because I guess, ahead of people,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am working closely with certain vet clinic and entities to be or pharmacies that they want to work with because they are looking everywhere to say who's the best pharmacies to help us. And Pet Mart is there already, right?
And I love that. I love the fact that you're, I can see your ethos. Pets Drug Mart is you're not saying like we want to get rid of the pharmacies for pets or anything like that. You're saying we work alongside you. What you do, what you can do, and we can do the rest of it if you can. And I love that. That's a really cool lane to be in. Is
No, I think nobody can really be the only profession to take care of something if you
yeah,
think about it. And I think if they really use patient care to decide policies, you need a
absolutely.
village like somebody like you, right? Oh, it's not all or none. And for the longest time, they were too protective of the profession, and everything has to go through a vet clinic. And so that I'm sure it has revenue involved, but they are the diagnostic, the medicine side. And so if you cannot be there all the time for the dispensing, let a pharmacist do some chronic medication that when, and some patients or owners are they price is not an issue. Convenience is an issue. They will probably get it from the vet and they wouldn't even explore. They don't have time. I don't want to think about it. I trust my vet, and this is what we're doing for the rest of the when I'm having. But there are other people that really have to worry and juggle, and but they still love their animal. Let them have that option to have a little bit of savings and convenience.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I'm guessing you're open to pet insurance as well, so like them paying for the medication as well. Do you deal with that side of things, or?
I do not think pet insurance paid directly to clinics. You have to pay upfront anyway. So depends on your plan.
Yep.
Is your copay or deductible is the same. So
Yeah.
would you rather go to a more expensive place or a cheaper place so that you have end up savings at the end?
You really are ahead of the game, aren't you? And something this all was all set up years ago, and given how the economy is moving now, you really are becoming you're becoming an even bigger player in that system because of what you're offering and the way you are. Do you see what I mean?
I would like to remain relevant and be
Yeah.
able to help. And I have to look at different angles to be able to help the public, or else I would get totally replaced by other people too. So that's what I do.
Paws on Point is brought to you by Pausability's Service Dog Society, a Canadian non-profit funding life-changing service dog partnerships for people who couldn't otherwise afford them. If today's episode has moved you, head to pausabilitiesservicedogs.ca and make a donation. Every single dollar goes directly to training and care. Nothing else.
Yeah.
Because patient care, I come from hospital.
Yeah.
I have a doctor of pharmacy degree. I used to train pharmacists. I was taking care of patient care programs. So it's not just business, it's really patient care. And so this is why when I saw a gap, I fill it. This is based on patients' needs. We can't advertise, and we don't know, and we can't predict what kind of prescription will come in the door. We really can't. So when they were challenging me at the college, at the vet, I actually had to testify because that vet was being prosecuted. And they presented all kinds of orders that they got evidence and saying, are these your orders? I said, I'm sure it is. This is a lot. I said, yeah, patient comes through and it's not like I advertise. I cannot advertise. And there is that need coming from the public. And I don't know who comes in. When there's a prescription that comes in, I don't have it on the shelf. I start ordering it. And then whatever's left over can serve the next patient. And that's how pharmacy works. We order in big jars. We don't sell it all to one patient. We have to
Right.
stock and take the risk that they get expired. So I said, "Oh, yeah, there is a lot of orders." So you can see that there's a lot of needs from the public. And at that time, the college had three kind of three-person
Mhm.
panel. One person opt not to vote because they said there's no patient care affected. And the other one voted for the vet college against the vet. That's how it went. And then the lawsuit went to appeal court, and then appeal court will always defer to a professional body. So I knew that route will dry up. And this is why I had to go to the government and the public, basically, public too, at that time.
And it becomes overwhelming though, because you're getting more and more people using your service.
On top of it, we have a really important job to do. We have to have good turnaround time, accuracy, and mail it out to the customer. So, besides doing that job, I have to fight and pay lawyers to help me. And to this day, I get challenged all the time, different things. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing to think that such a good service. It is, and I am, and I'm not amazed at the fact that even now you're still being challenged because it seems to be whenever there's something good, it seems to be a big target for anything and everyone. It is. The kind of
And so if I have any gap or an issue or mishap, it works really against me. So when you're in an uncharted area, you have to do extra good work.
yeah.
That's what
I can sympathize with that when you're the only one, when you're the trailblazer, when you're paving the road, it's amazing how you have to be so finite in what you're doing and how you're doing it because you know that all eyes are on you. And like
yeah,
you said, one little accident, one little hiccup.
yeah, and you don't want, and because it's an e-commerce site, and now that's the web, it's so vocal about certain things, and if it doesn't work well for them for that particular incident, even though it's just one out of so many, you will see it. And a bad review is a bad review. And people do not usually review you when they're happy with you.
It's, yeah, when it's bad, it seems to spread like wildfire. When it's good, it just trickles through every now and then.
And they forgot about it because it's just there. It's there for me. It works out. They wouldn't even bring it up to anybody because it's just something I do and something I get, right? So if they do not understand my challenges, I think people are just natural and not being forgiving for a lot of ways. And I don't blame them.
Yeah, no, I mean,
It's their pets' health and
yeah,
safety.
absolutely. And I think it's important that people that I can see how Pets Drugs Mart can help a lot of the clients that we help with
Mm.
regards to their own medical conditions and finding it difficult to get outside the front door to do all of those things to go and get the prescriptions, to know that you can order that online and get that delivered to the door. That's a big weight off the shoulder, and that's huge. But for some of the clients that we see, that's a big thing. And to
Well,
not to
because it's
now
a
know
service.
that exists.
Exactly. Yeah. So for them, the most important thing is to know that Pest Drug Mart exists.
Mm.
Second is a consumer's right to get a prescription. Always get enough repeats to cover for yourself and the dogs until the next visit. The next visit should be dictated by how often should you monitor certain things for this type of therapy.
Yeah, yeah.
Seizure, diabetes. So it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, it could be a year. So if you get enough repeats, and then if you have built in enough time, then you should be able to get all of your supply, but at your doorstep, and then cover you until the next visit. And then you ask for prescription just like human, but you have to pay for it. And the charge per prescription varies. At one point, it was so high, it was $60. I heard one story per prescription, but now I think it's around $20.
But then that adds up. Do you know what I mean? So when you add all that up, and yeah,
And
no,
if you pay $20 and get a year supply of repeats with a big savings for drug, yeah.
and I think I hope people listening to this, I hope they start thinking about their prescriptions and any dogs that are on lifelong prescriptions and go, okay, yeah, let's give this a go and restructure the way that they do it.
If your audience is listening and there is prescription bottle from the vet clinic at home, I encouraged them to go on petsdrugmart.ca
Mhm.
and then search the drug and look at the price.
Yeah.
And the price is just like human drugs. So we cost it by tablet or by whatever ml they go. And then at the end, there's a prescription fee.
Mm.
For human drugs, we don't charge tax, but for pets prescription, we are regulated by government to
Sure.
charge HST. So pet prescriptions are taxable. The drug is taxable. The dispensing fee is taxable because it's tied to that product. But compounding and human drugs, there's for sure savings compared to vet clinics, a lot of savings because their cost is higher, plus their markup. And so cost it out, Pest Drug Mart will be a very good option.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So just so it's clear, so that if a handler for their service dog, if they are on medication themselves as a human and their
Mhm.
dog is on medication, they could go to Pets Drug Mart and get both done through Pet Drug Smart and get it delivered to the door or not? Yep.
Ordered through Pest Drug Mart platform,
Yep.
and we delivered all the way to the door.
That's so cool. I strongly advise the listeners to go and look at Pets Drug Mart because I think it's going to open a lot of doors for people.
That's great. Thanks for inviting me to talk
Yeah,
about
no,
my
absolutely. I'm pleased we've had this chat, and I hope maybe in time you can come back again and we can
Sure.
revisit everything and see where you are.
Yeah, I'm trying to actually figure out a way to have customers. Sometimes they don't like drugs to get delivered to the door because they're not home all the time. So I'm trying to figure out convenience ways for them to pick up at various points
Sure.
across Canada. So that's my job, to make it easier for everybody. Different options too, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
There are other big things too. I think the vet industry is evolving. A lot of different type of vet clinic services are coming, mobile, all of those are coming. And so I hope to be there to work with different.
You're there. You're now waiting for everyone to come to you. Do you see what I mean? The platform's
I will
there.
make sure that I am available to work with all types of vets, clinic vet services. That's
Yeah,
my.
that would.
I saw an article not too long ago, also Globe and Mail. Now, vet technicians are starting to have clinics like dental hygienist. So basic stuff that you want may be able to be serviced through a vet technician, but still prescription will be handled by vet. So
Sure.
different levels of services,
Yep.
telemedicine, mobile vet tech run clinics, they're all coming. They're all
Yep.
coming, which is good for everybody.
This has been fantastic.
Thank you.
So great. And I'm so great that you were on board for this. And it's been a great chat. I loved it.
Thank you. And let me know if I can come back and if there are new things to say.
Yeah,
We can chat
absolutely.
again. Great.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Take,
Have a wonderful day.
yeah, you too. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Paws on Point. A huge thank you to everyone involved in today's episode. These conversations mean everything to this community. If today's episode resonated with you, please share it with one person who needs to hear it. That's how we grow, and that's how we create change. And if you want to support the mission behind the podcast, head to pausabilityservicedogs.ca. Every single dollar goes directly to funding a life-changing service dog partnership for someone who needs it most. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and remember, hit that like button and share. Thank you.